certified mindfulness teacher. She's spoken before at the Susie Q. She did some mindfulness parenting classes for us previously in Laguna. Sorry about the traffic.
It's beautiful, the traffic. Good morning, everyone. My deepest apologies. I have a number of things planned today. How many of you actually know each other? Do quite a few of you know each other? Okay. So let's start something a little different. If you guys don't mind, you're probably not going to need a lot of paper and pen for the first couple of minutes. Mindfulness is a little bit like driving. In order to do it, in order to learn it, you kind of have to do it. So if you know each other, maybe you might want to change tables a little bit. But introduce yourself to each other by maybe sharing something that's not apparent about yourself. So I don't know if you can see that there. I was actually born with a third ear. You can't really tell that from looking at me. But it's pretty memorable, huh? Hi, I'm Sydney, and I was born with a third ear. I was. If you want to touch it afterwards, you can. Okay. My mom says it's one of the reasons why I'm in this business of deep listening. So, turn to each other, introduce yourself, maybe by something that's not apparent. Huh? Nothing tragic, nothing horrible, just a little something that maybe the people who know you might not know about you. Does that make sense? Let's do that just for a couple of seconds.
But you probably know all these things about it. No, I don't, but yeah, okay. So, I transferred from a private boarding school to a voluntary listening program at an American school. Is it voluntary? It was in East Palo Alto. So, it's just really, the year I graduated, I've always sort of wondered that there's a machine about a future in an African-American school. I kind of wondered if it was reaching out to some of the baseline of probably one that probably don't that I physical locations of my house.
Sounds like this is going well.
Oh my God. That is
my dad was already in the military. So we had kind of a built-in 2 to 3 year program.
Yeah.
But then the series of relocation assessments, educational programs, family illnesses, that ping-ponged around.
That is a lot.
3 or 4 times. Yeah, 2 different occasions.
So gathering the puppies back in the box,
Right.
dropping in for just a second. Did everyone have a
You
chance?
become resilient.
No? You guys need a few seconds? Go
Kind of
ahead.
just evolved. Hey, that's part of change. That's part of life, right? So, you just like this
Just Lily, yeah. She's, so what do you think about this? Have you heard about their project?
So if you all could just join me for 1 second,
It seems like Mary's about 3 or 4
even if you haven't had a
Maris
chance, let's
is not
take a moment.
by lack of energy.
And more than anything, notice the energy in the body.
for sure.
Just taking a moment to breathe in and breathe out. Noticing the energy in the body, what sensations are most vivid right now. Maybe noticing warmth in the face, maybe warmth around the heart, maybe the teeth are getting a little air from the smile. Maybe there's a heart palpitation. What are you noticing about the body right now? Only the body. Breathing in and breathing out, taking a few seconds now to shift. What feeling is making itself known? Cheerfulness, nervousness, joy, delight, curiosity, frustration. Breathing in, breathing out, noticing what thoughts. Just if you could slow them down. Why do we have to do this? Love the color she has on. I didn't know that about my friend. It's a practice called basically the stop technique. Stop. Take a few breaths. Open. Observe. What's the triangle of awareness? What body sensations are happening? What emotion is present? Doesn't matter which one, there's no right or wrong one. And what is one or two thoughts? And then the P is, we proceed. So is there anyone who didn't get a chance to say their one thing that might not be noticeable? Did we have folks at the larger tables that didn't get a chance to do that? Yeah? So let's proceed. Let's continue that just for another couple of seconds, and if you already know each other, just see what it's like, maybe to sit in silence and offer time to another group, just out of generosity. So let's take a few seconds to do that, and then we'll start our program. Good morning once again. How many of us actually have young people in the house? We have kids. Everyone here? The age group from 5 and under, show of hands. 5 and under, show of hands. 5 to maybe 12. 12 to what I call knucklehead. Yeah. That 12 to knucklehead is where a dear girlfriend of mine says, Sydney, the extraterrestrials come down and scoop out their brain and leave just the body. And she says, but what happens is it's around 21, 22, they come back down to Earth, put the brains back in, and then your kid is back. So I hope that works out that way for you guys. Okay, so I can see a little bit of where the age range is. This stop technique for whatever age you have is exactly something that can be part of the practice at home. It can happen anytime you want. One of the wonderful things about mindfulness is that it never works well alone. It works really well in a marriage of other interventions. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But mindfulness in and of itself, it's not a silver bullet. I like to call it the greatest assist program to any program you have in your household. So what I mean by that is that using these techniques that I'm hoping we're going to leave with today, that you use them in conjunction with other core interventions in your home. So what I mean by a core intervention is if your home has a spiritual or religious leaning, church, synagogue, mosque, temple, outside in nature, if that's what you practice. So great to use mindfulness in conjunction with that. Also, what kind of foods are actually happening in the house. I have to tell you a big secret. Being a vegetarian for a growing person, in terms of being a parent and a caretaker, can be a little tricky. Do you know why? The carbs help ground the body. The heaviness of like macaroni and cheese, comfort food, really helps a young person land. It slows down the digestive system, which brings in more of kind of the love hormones, and it allows them to settle. It also helps them sleep. In meditation practices, this is an Ayurvedic tradition over 2,600 years old. When we want people to have higher elevated states of mental states that are much more, I'll say, air-based, we keep them on a vegan diet. Because the body becomes light. It begins to produce a lot of glucosamine, a lot of synovial fluids, a lot of, when the body starts to, during fasting, all those hormones that are secreted actually raise the mental states to a more activated air type quality. But when we eat pasta, rice, bread, but warm foods, the body comes down and grounds towards the earth. So mac and cheese may be a really good friend of yours. Or a little piece of chicken from time to time. Not pushing anything, but just saying. So also exercise, if there's a regular exercise program for the family, where we go out walking or hiking, those are really great. Also, organized sports, but not necessarily organized sports that have a lot of competition in them. Just good old-fashioned kids bumping against each other, learning rules, playing together, losing and winning. Losing is a really great skill to learn. Really great skill to learn. So, the stop technique can go anywhere and can happen in any kind of situation. And it is out of the wisdom tradition. What's going on here? What's happening right now? Not trying to change anything, not judging. There is no wrong or right. If anger is present, frustration is present, lack of self-confidence is present, jealousy is present. Anyone have more than one child in the house? And we have, let's take a moment of compassion for that. Yeah, there's conflict. Yeah, from time to time. Whatever the emotion is, can we acknowledge it and bring space to it rather than pushing off or bracing or trying to get rid of it? Something that's interesting, and I love this about mindfulness, it's a love affair. A love affair with what's here right now. Why? Because it is here, right? So the stop technique. Stop. What's happening? T, take a few breaths. O, open, observe in that triangle of awareness. What thoughts are present? What body sensations are present? What emotions are present? Taking a few breaths, and then P, proceed with what we were doing before whatever came up caused us to stop and take notice. So my original point is to do this not when things are wrong. Make it a part of the family game. Maybe you're getting ready to to leave for school. Hey, let's do a stop. Let's all drop in. Or you're driving and you get to the Whole Foods sign at the corner. Whole Foods sign, let's do the stop. Really make it something that doesn't have a consequence to it, that it becomes a game. So that when those strong emotions and that stress happens for your young person and or for you, it's something quite normal. You know, and there's nothing more beautiful than when your little person turns to you and says, Dad, do you need to stop? And they will. You know, I think you've got too much stress, Mom. You should count the breaths. I've had parents email me and go, I don't know if I hate you or love you. My kid just told me I should count the breaths. But it's wonderful, right? All right. Any questions? Welcome to this moment. So I know I'm running a little late, but what I'd like to do, if you don't mind, today is this is what I had. Having you taste a few practices for yourself, then we could kind of break into small groups and talk about some of the more challenging moments, a moment we've had, maybe with our child. I don't mean the most horrific, but one that kind of comes up in day-to-day life. Share that around the table. And then I thought we could break into workshop style, and maybe we could find folks who have similar kinds of issues, or maybe even buddying with the person whose child might be a little bit ahead of yours, so you know what to look out for. I'll let you decide how you want to break out into the workshop groups. And then what we could do is try to apply some mindfulness practices right here together and have these scenarios be acted out and see how we feel them in our bodies, our minds, and our hearts, and actually see how we think our young person might respond to them, and then we can kind of problem solve with each other a little bit. Does that sound okay? Were you expecting just a talk where I was going to fire hose you with information? It's not. I could do that if you want, but I'm not sure. I was hoping to give you skills that you could take home today and use. And I'm not, I love you. And I love your kids, and I want you guys to have a great life together. And what I'm hoping is that you can practice here with us, make a few mistakes, get it kind of imprinted in the heart and in the brain, so that when the stress is on at home, you have a little bit more in the tank so that you can act more naturally. That was my hope. Is that okay? All right. So welcome to this moment. Should we start together? Let's let everything go. Let's have a posture, seated position, both feet on the floor. Eyes open or closed. We'll only be here a few seconds. You're dropping the gaze, releasing everyone else around you. Feeling the sits bones, shoulders back and down, chin parallel with the floor. Head finding just that perfect sweet spot on the top of the neck. Breathing in, breathing out. There's nothing to do wrong here. This is simply about welcoming this moment. Awakening, noticing. Maybe noticing the taste of coffee in the mouth. Really sensing the feet on the floor, maybe even wiggling the toes in the shoes. And then feeling the length of the feet on the floor, sits bones in the chair, hands wherever they are they cool, warm? Shoulders, collarbone spreading. Noticing where you feel the breath come in and out of the body without even really thinking about it. Is the breath long or short? Is it moist or dry? And if following the breath brings agitation or a kind of irritation, see what it's like to open to sound. Following a sound from its beginning to its end. So what did you notice about that? Relaxed? What else? Just popcorn it out. What did you notice?
More in tune.
Huh?
More in tune.
More in tune?
The yin energy.
The yin energy? It's really challenging to do it. Really challenging. Did you notice what made it challenging? What should I do after I leave my grocery shopping? All the things I have to do. Thank you so much. What else did we notice? How long was that? Right, 45 minutes. I think we did maybe three. Maybe three. But what do you notice right now if we drop back into that triangle of awareness? What thoughts are present? Body sensations? What emotions are playing around the edge just for you?
Calmness. Calmness, peaceful.
And notice what's happening in the room in terms of the energy. So you say, great, Sid, how did I get my kid to do that? Right? I promise you, if you start doing it, they'll do it. In the middle of probably when your kids are really at each other and there's great conflict, if you just begin to ground into your feet, get quiet, it can have a really powerful impact. Have you ever seen, and maybe sometimes you've been that person, I know I have, hey, be quiet, wait, quiet, quiet. Am I helping the quiet? But I never seem to remember that in a moment of reactivity. And when I started really bringing mindfulness into my life, I started noticing there were other tools to use to bring people's attention to this moment. And it can be a very short, very, very subtle practice such as that. And that's just called grounding. And we just ground into the body, feeling the soles of the feet, butt in the chair, wherever the hands are, noticing the temperature. And please, really want you to hear this, particularly those of you who might have young women in the household who have, I don't want to make generalizations, but our young ladies tend to feel a lot of stress. Even as younger girls, there's a lot of stress. Having them to follow the breath may not be the kindest thing. It can be too challenging, but opening to sound. What do you hear right now? Like, I love this. What is this, an air conditioner or something I'm hearing over here? A little tick, 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 tick. It's different than the fan that's over here. You feel the fan over there? And then I can tell when the stop sign happens on the side of the highway. Ah, that was a car, truck. This practice of asking our young person what they can hear and to name it in the field can have great value. It's pretty impressive. You know, sound is the mascot of mindfulness. Anybody know why? Because it only happens in the present moment. Sound is a very powerful companion, like I said, for folks who have anxiety and depression. I tend to work with kids more than I do with parents, and I tend to have the privilege of working with kids who have a lot of, I'm going to say, emotional stress. And this notion of getting quiet and sitting in lotus, and, you know, legs crossed, it's not very compassionate for that type of individual. Sound is a more compassionate friend. Movement. So, something else I'd like to try. Are you ready for a little disruption? You guys know who I am already, don't you? Let's come to standing. And let's grab a lane. We have some space over here. We have space, but you really, a lane, and you guys can come up here with me. Let's just try this together. Welcome to the moment. A walking practice, walking mindfully. This is really great for folks who have a lot of anxiety or a lot of depression. So we can just start this together by feeling the feet on the floor. Now really wiggle your toes in your shoes, feeling the toe, the big toe, the ball of the foot, the heel. And let's lift whatever leg you'd like. I think I'm lifting, what leg is this? Is that my right? I don't know what that is. And then putting the right heel down. Lifting the body up. Taking a step, noticing. Back leg already lifts. Lift, swing, step. Lift, swing, step. Keeping your focus on the soles of your feet, the swing of the foot. You guys will make your way. Don't worry about what it feels like right now. See if you can take 5, 6 steps, keeping your concentration on the soles of your feet. Now come to the end of your path. And remember, a lot of life happens in the transitions. So what can you notice as you're turning? Turning. What do you see? Turning. What do you feel in the feet? Turning. Lift, swing, step. Lift, swing, step. Lift, swing, step. Once again, and noticing, taking a pause, turning, turning, turning. Let's just try that 2 more times on our own. Really, the mind may wander. It's what the mind does. The mouth secretes saliva, the mind secretes thoughts. It's not the problem. Can I come back to the soles of the feet? When you have a teenager or a young person who's activated, this could be a beautiful walking practice as a parent. You just get right alongside of them. And you start lift, swing, step. Let's walk together, honey, you and me. And you start walking. It's not about where you're going. It's about allowing them to discharge that energy, get into the soles of their feet. So coming back to our places just for a second. Can I have a volunteer? Just a volunteer, nothing will hurt you. Please, come on. Yeah. So, tell me your name.
Kelly.
Kelly, good morning. So Kelly's my teenager. Have you got one? Okay. We might not be able to use this. Come closer if you need us. You want to be activated? Be activated. Go ahead. Yeah, do your thing. I mean, just in the house. You're throwing a fit. Right. Wow. Walk with me. What's going on? You want to throw something at? What you got?
Yes.
Uh-huh. Okay. What happened then?
Everything. It's a horrible day.
Yeah. Let's just keep walking. You got your feet?
Yes.
What happened? Tell me.
Got a bad grade at my test.
Oh, babe.
Someone teased me in class.
About what?
My hair not being brushed.
Did you like your hair?
Yeah, I was fine with it.
Oh, we don't give a shit about them. Did you like it?
Yeah.
Oh, Well, that's all that matters, John. What else? Tell me.
I did do very well on PE today.
Can I put my hand?
Yeah.
You want to keep walking or do you want to have it? Okay, well, that's fine. So what happened in PE?
We had this test in California. I didn't feel like I did very well.
So Kelly, how are you feeling right now, just even though we're acting?
Better.
So one of the things we do in prison populations, I do that a lot, people don't seem to understand, thank you so much, is when we match our breathing. When we match our breathing and match our body with the person who's activated, it goes to a very primal kind of tribal way that we used to live. And so often I think as parents we try to stop our kids from what they're doing in the expression that they're in. Now I'm not saying, you know, if they're hurting themselves, please know what I'm saying. I'm saying that activation, when they're activated, that sometimes it's just better to join them. Drop the mindfulness practice in. Did you hear me when I say, have you got your feet? And notice I'm not a proponent of a curated mindfulness. It has to sound soft and cool. So that's why I was a little provocative with the language. Did you like your hair? Yeah. Well, we don't give a shit about them. I'm trying to teach her what she thinks about her hair is more important than what someone else thinks. And that I endorse that. Did you like your hair? I'm not even worried about whether it was brushed or not. Right? That's not the issue right now. I need to get her to get into her body and come back to me. Ask, can I touch you? Yeah. Let them lead. How is this feeling? Is this resonating? Think about your young person. Would it work? Okay? So the power of welcoming this moment, no matter what that moment looks like, can really be a very powerful tool. Instead of trying to get to a goal behavior, can I open up? Can I, as the parent, be more spacious in what I'm seeing and find a place to drop in the mindfulness and drop in an energy of presence? Do you feel the texture of that? Questions? Comment? Yeah.
A team that doesn't communicate.
What if you have a teen who doesn't communicate, who doesn't open up, who doesn't tell you? Anyone have one of those? I was one of those. It's challenging. And I actually don't believe they don't communicate. I think the non-communication is communication. So this is a great question. Welcoming the moment of a non-communicator. So what I do is, let me ask a different question. Do you guys remember JFK and Nixon? Anybody old enough here to remember those two guys? You remember when they were in the presidential election all those years ago? We're not going to talk about parties, but I want to talk about modes of communication. So JFK, kind of the hotness of the day, right? What happened in terms of technology when JFK first came on? TV. And he was tan and he was young and he had that great kind of sporty look about him, right? And the debates were televised, correct? And Nixon, the older candidate, we had the radio going at the same time. So did you guys know in terms of communication and polls that
on radio, Nixon actually won the debate, but on television, Kennedy, the poll said that he won. So by vision, someone sounded more capable of running our country than what the person, when we didn't see, have any visuals and we only heard. So my long-winded way is, another question I can ask is, what do you think 97.3, so 97%, 3%, nonverbal communication, verbal communication. What do people believe most often? What has the highest score? Which, huh? Nonverbal has what?
The highest score.
Nonverbal's 97%. So, I just look at the nonverbal cues. I look at the body language. I leave alone forcing young people who are hurt to communicate with me, and I become a very deep listener, which is why the mindfulness practice of knowing my own triangle of awareness and really getting very clear about what's happening in my body sends me information about what my young person is feeling and thinking, so that I don't have to keep bombarding them with questions. So meditation and mindfulness truly is about deep listening more than it's about anything else. And can I learn to listen to my kid without asking a lot of questions? Can I listen to how they woke up in the morning, what time they woke up in the morning? Can I listen to what happened at the energy when they were coming home from school yesterday? Can I listen to how often they pick up their phone, and when they put it down, how are they putting it down? You know, I can tell when somebody's talking to their love and when they're talking to a friend. You can feel that, you can see that. So it's a really paying attention. What kind of music are they playing? That might not be the easy answer, but I have really come to trust that. But it's because my own practice is strong, which is why you're the key to your kids' success, or you're the key to your kids successfully learning mindfulness. How well you embody it and bring it into the household and really count on it will really, really be more helpful to them than anything else. How does that feel?
I want to do the walking technique, but you were talking constantly and asking the questions. Would you still do that, or would you just walk?
I would, but if they're not answering, I just walk. But you guys know me, I'm gonna keep on talking. This is part of, you know, there's leading, and then there's leading from the back of the boat. I can take a step back and let them tell me what they need and what we're going to do, but I still have a destination, right? And don't ever underestimate, I love you, I'm concerned about you, and I'm here for you, whatever it is, right? All right. So those are two things I just wanted to show for the present moment. Any other questions? And we can talk more after if you want. I'm happy to. We okay? So what is mindfulness? I've been here for 4 hours already. What is it? Do I have any mindfulness practitioners out there? Anybody do mindfulness? Yes, a little bit. So first of all, mindfulness involves paying attention on purpose. John Kabat-Zinn says that mindfulness is paying attention on purpose, non-judgmentally, to what is arising in the moment. So if you think of terms like wakefulness, awareness, aliveness, friendliness, yes, even when there's pain, yes, even when there's what I call the unwantedness. Anybody have any unwantedness in their life? Right? Yeah. When I was, saw the sign for Santa Ana and didn't get to Tustin for another 42 minutes, I thought, wow, this is pretty unwanted. This is pretty unwanted. And here's what's so beautiful, I think, about what mindfulness is offering. It's in those moments of the unwanted that the friendliness is so much more important. That's when it's so much more crucial. Right? So non-judgmental awareness, a love affair. John Kabat-Zinn calls mindfulness a love affair with ourselves. What do you guys think about that? Sounds a little hokey, huh? So my friend Lisa Kring, who teaches mindfulness for parents and who has kids herself, this is her definition. Mindfulness is the capacity of actively knowing your moment-to-moment experience with kind and gentle awareness, without the mind trying to make it different. As we do this, we begin to understand our bodies and minds better, and we're not as reactive in our daily lives to thoughts, emotions, and physical sensations. We find more space, more peace, joy, and choice in our life. Mindfulness is not feeling a particular state or having any kind of experience. With cultivated awareness, we develop the quality of presence that can be present no matter what is happening, be it pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. So some of the wonderful things that can happen when we practice mindfulness as parents is that it builds self-compassion, authenticity, and self-acceptance for the self as a healthy modeling for our children. It increases emotional regulation or emotional intelligence in us, and a reflective functioning, building skill in handling strong emotions. Would you say that? Strong emotions is playing a dominant role in your life with your kids lately? And here's what's interesting. We don't want the strong emotion, right? But it's actually what's normal in helping another human being grow through the developmental stages of becoming their own person. A guy who you guys might know, I don't know if I love him or I hate him, but I sure am inspired by him and provoked to thinking quite a bit about what he says. Tony Robbins, Release Your Inner Giant. You know this gentleman? He said something that I love so much. He says, families don't need peace. That's not what families need. Families need strength. They need health. And they need a high-functioning community spirit. But they don't need peace. And that helped me release a lot of expectation around having a quiet home and a peaceful home and everything to be like Restoration Hardware, those beautiful pictures in the magazine, Architectural Digest, even the dog is just glistening in the picture, right? It helped me release those ideas. Like, what if I can let peace go as a marker of how well or not my home is? What if it's about health? What if it's about confidence? What if it's about the strength of the individuals in my home, myself included? What if it's about, are we all at the table even though we're fighting or cursing? Or do they keep coming to the table? Do they keep coming home? Is my kid talking to me crazy, but is still talking to me or texting me? When they stop, that's really when you have a problem. So maybe I can let go of how they're coming and just be grateful that they're coming. So that notion of peace, maybe I can let that go. Here's one, parents who use mindfulness. These are all from Lisa's students who've taken mindfulness for parenting. Honors healthy boundaries between parents and child. promoting optimal development, allowing for insight to old patterns, issues, and expectations. But I think the one that's really great is the built self-compassion for you. It's challenging being a parent today. Anybody notice that? It's really challenging. Yeah. All right. It really is about like driving a car. I'm going to leave you with a number of resources. Do we have everyone's email here? Yes? I'll send you all the documents, so don't feel like you have to write everything down. I have links, I have books, I have blogs, I have something for everyone. I'm going to definitely send that to Cheryl before I leave. You will have all that at your fingertips. Guided meditations for you, guided meditations for them. I want to say one thing and then we'll jump into some workshops. For those of you who've taken mindfulness or you've read something, they ask us maybe to do mindfulness first thing in the morning, right? When you wake up, correct? That doesn't work for parents. Have you noticed? It's not the kind and loving thing for parents. What do the kids do, particularly the little ones, when they wake up in the morning? Aren't they jumping in your bed? Right? They're right in there on you. So when are you supposed to do your mindfulness practice? In the morning. So again, let that expectation go. It's not realistic for you. You're not doing anything wrong that you don't do mindfulness first thing in the morning. So when can mindfulness become a practice for you? Anybody have to pick their kids up at school and you have to get in that line, right? Great moment to do mindfulness. You can have your app, make sure you have your earbuds in. Small, short blasts of mindfulness, 5 minutes, can help you tremendously. Put on your guided meditation. You can ground into your body. You can do the spaghetti meditation yourself. You can sit like a frog yourself. You can do a short body scan. You can do 5 minutes of loving kindness. May I know my life matters. May I be safe and protected. May I be healthy and strong. May I treat myself with kindness, care, and respect. May I love and be loved. May I laugh deeply today. Whatever, or just with my kid when I pick them up. Right? So, anybody brush hair still? Brushing hair is a beautiful time for mindfulness. That repetitive moment. You just really get into feeling the hair in your hand, the brush going through the head, right? And listening to your kid's voice. Great time for mindfulness, right? So find moments in your day-to-day life that you can be mindful. Don't worry about that it doesn't look like you're sitting in the lotus position and everything is quiet. Short blasts of mindfulness multiple times during the day. Even if you just count 3 breaths. Let's try counting the breaths. You ready? I want to teach you this one. This was my all-time favorite in the beginning. It's so simple. Grab that posture. You could be standing at the kitchen sink getting ready to wash dishes. You can have your hands on the steering wheel in traffic. Breathing in. 1. Breathing out. 1. Breathing in. 2. Breathing out. 2. Breathing in. 3. Breathing out. 3. Breathing in. 4. Breathing out. 4. Breathing in, 5. Breathing out, 5. Paying attention with intention. It's a very different energy. All right, I think I've got 33 minutes to work a miracle. You ready? Let's do a little bit of workshop. So at your table where you're at, turn to each other, and if you guys are 2, maybe the 4 of you, can you guys work together, or you want to leave, however you want to do it. If you have a larger table, can you reduce yourself? Maybe get in groups of 4. That might be great. 4 and 4, so that we can actually get into this. So mindful listening and mindful speaking. So I have 20 minutes. 20 minutes, you guys. So mindful listening and mindful speaking. So we'll just let, at the table, each person speak. It'll be brief, maybe 50 seconds, a minute. Hang on, mindful listening, mindful speaking. Mindful listening, we listen with our whole bodies. We don't interrupt. We don't really need to have incredible eye contact unless we know that's important. We're really listening with our whole bodies. And when we're listening with our whole bodies, we're noticing body language, tone of voice, the word choice, how long or how slow the speech is. So really listen. With mindful speaking, we're speaking right to the prompt. We're not, starting from when our parents first got married and came here. We're just going right to the prompt. What is necessary? What's the single most important thing? What is timely? What is kind? So the person with the shortest hair will start at the table. And all you're going to do is give a snapshot of a challenging moment. You ready? When I ring the bell, we'll stop, pause, and the person to the right will begin. So everyone understand? Yes?
As a parent, a challenging moment?
As a parent. As a parent. So maybe it can start like this. What I find stressful is getting my kid to school every day. I have to fight them to get up on time. Maybe that's just it. Maybe it's as simple as that. Okay? I'll ring the bell after 50 seconds, and the next person to the right will share. We'll have a little pause, the next person to the right will share. So person with the shortest hair, begin.
Oh,